Welcome to Modern Day Abigails. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new." So let's listen to God's Word, where everyday lives transform and where we can become the women God created us to be.
I get motivated every year to get seeds. I was hanging out with Juanita. I'm just a hospice care.
She's got a green thumb like no other.
She does, and she has this beautiful yard. So I bought seeds and I planted them, and I got all this beautiful greenery. There's not one single flower. Not one. And I planted flowers. I planted morning glories. They're beautiful flowers.
Oh,
I got a lot of pretty green.
yeah.
There's not one single flower. None.
Oh dear.
So all I'm saying is it's going to take a lot more watering before I get some flowers. So ladies, you're going to have to do some more watering before you get your flowers. But don't give up. That's why you pray. That's why you have hope. That's why you read your Bible to get you through it. The Lord's going to get you through it. But you're going to have to be, that's the long suffering. We're going to talk later. There's a difference between long suffering and patience. I hate it how some translations will say, oh, it's not long suffering, it's patience. There's a big difference between long suffering and patience. A big difference.
And you have a example of that.
Yes, I do.
That you always say.
Yes.
What is it?
So patience is going to the donut shop and getting in line to wait for your donut. Long suffering is planting a field with wheat, planting a field with cane sugar, planting a field with, I don't know how you make
Whatever
baking soda.
Get some chickens for the eggs.
You gotta get your chicks. You gotta hatch some eggs in the incubator. Get your chickens laying. Grab your eggs. Then you mix it all together. Then you bake it, fry it, however you make your donut. Then you serve it. That's long suffering.
That's long suffering.
Yeah. So that's not you just sitting in line waiting. That's you making it all yourself. So, I'm sure she cried. I would have screamed and cried.
Oh, sure.
If she had known, she would have told Jacob. So I think she didn't know. So my guess is when they went to prepare her, they said, nope, your sister's going instead. I'm guessing there was an immediate hatred and bitterness that would have kindled if left unchecked. And it becomes a big fire. So if they already had some animosity towards each other, if they already had some bitterness towards each other, this just made it worse.
And what was Leah's reaction like? Smirk.
I'm sure Leah probably was happy. That's what I was going to say is Leah was probably happy because Leah didn't have a suitor all this time, and she didn't have a single man who wanted her.
No.
So she knew that this was her only opportunity.
This is what I was saying. She knew what she was doing.
Hey, she wasn't going to complain because that was her only opportunity.
Yeah,
that's it. That was her only opportunity.
That's why I don't have the.
I do feel bad for her that she wasn't, because she didn't want that. She didn't want to take her sister's husband. I don't think she did. I could be wrong, but she definitely didn't want to have to share. She didn't. But she did not want to be in such a predicament that she couldn't get her own husband.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, she didn't want to be in that.
I know.
She was out of desperation. I mean, if anything, I'm going to say that Leah was desperate, and she agreed to it out of desperation. Because if she could have had her own husband that loved her and wanted her, she would have chosen that.
Yeah.
But she didn't.
That's true.
So I do feel sorry for her in that way. I feel sorry for Rebecca in that her choice. But here's the thing is that we're going to talk about is, yes, I feel sorry for both of them. But what do they do? How do they handle the situation? That's the part. If you're going to let bitterness enter in, you need to stop that immediately. Bitterness is not going to help you.
And not only that, this would not have been their first run-in with a sneaky snake dad.
Probably not. I'm sure that was not his first time.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
If he's a sneaky snake,
I mean, he's a sneaky snake. If I remember right, he tried to keep Rebecca longer. He tried to keep Rebecca there. Remember, he was like, oh, well, we'll let your sister go with you later. He's like, no, we're going to go now. Okay, we'll let our sister decide.
Yeah.
He wanted to take advantage. He completely wanted to take advantage of
the money.
Isaac. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he didn't. So now he's taking advantage of his son because Jacob was not ready. And the Lord was making him ready. So we're going to put this together. Leah was not the wanted wife, and she knew it. She is not loved, and she knows it. Rachel was the wanted wife and knew it, and she was loved and she knew it. So either way, she was either not going to be his wife or would have had to share her sister. So Rachel's only choice was, what do I do? Because her two choices was to be another wife and share her sister or not get married at all. Now, Rachel could have said, well, That's horrible, but okay, y'all have a great marriage.
Yeah.
She could have married somebody else. She really could have. She could have had. Now, then again, we don't know how old she was.
As she was, she could have gotten somebody easily.
Yeah, because let's pretend she was 14 when he wanted to marry her and he had to wait for 7 years. I mean, she'd be only 21. So yeah, she probably could have gotten somebody else, but she didn't. Jacob wanted Rachel, and her dad said, fine. Now her dad, it was all in his best interest. Both my daughters are with this rich guy. Look at me. So it was in best interest for him to have both girls.
He knew dang well Jacob was going to pursue. He was not. He knew that that Jacob was not going to stop pursuing Rachel.
Right. And we're going to talk about the Lord does put a stop to this. Before you think, why would God allow this? God never allowed it. That's why we quoted Genesis earlier. One man, one woman. And I'm going to also show you what the Lord tells them in Leviticus. Just a minute, though. So like I said, both women were now in a situation that they didn't want to be in. So how are they going to handle it? Why was Leah not already married? Did her delicate eyes make her so unattractive as a wife that no man asked her for a hand in marriage? My guess is that when Jacob met Rachel, she might have been too young. That's why he said, hey, I'll work for her 7 years. She might have been like about 13, 14, because Rachel didn't have a suitor yet. Why not? Why wasn't Rachel already engaged? That's where I think she might have been really young. Or, maybe there wasn't a whole lot of guys around there.
I'm like, maybe they were so isolated that they didn't have any choices.
Possibility, which might be why Leah hadn't been married already, too, because they were in such isolation. There wasn't anybody else around.
But we don't know.
We don't know. That's why, but one of my thoughts was maybe Rachel was young, and that's why working for 7 years wasn't a bad deal, because, he was going to wait for her anyway. Considering her, but she was beautiful. So we don't know much about, we don't know how much, what's the age difference between Leah and Rebecca? We don't know. We just know that there's no sisters in between as far as we can tell. But now their lives just took an unexpected turn. What are they going to do about it? So like I said, before y'all get a little bit worried, ladies, in Leviticus 18, starting at verse 17, you shall not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter, nor shall you take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness. They are near of kin to her. It is wickedness. Nor shall you take a woman as a rival to her sister to uncover her nakedness while the other is alive. So the Lord does deal with this. He actually puts it in the law. You can't do this.
Yep.
Never again. Okay, that's what I'm saying. It does not condone multiple wives. Genesis 2 makes it clear it's supposed to be one wife, one woman. So I was thinking about Jacob. I mean, what were his choices? He had deceived his brother and his dad. So he was not excused from his bad behavior, even though his mom said she would take the blame. He wasn't excused from his bad behavior. Jacob needs to feel the deception in order to learn. So be careful, ladies. Again, be careful. The Lord might teach us our attitude by interacting with someone with the same attitude. I know a lot of mothers and daughters who go through this. They get so upset with their daughters and realize, well, wait a minute, that's my attitude.
Yeah, I mean, you can be an enabler and take the blame. At the same time, the Lord is still going to dish out the consequences to the people he wants to dish them out to.
Right. So they can learn a lesson.
Yeah.
So they can turn to him and follow him.
And Jacob was very much feeling the brunt of these consequences.
Exactly.
Even though Rebecca said, let it be on my head. Well, it's not on her head because she's not the one that got sent away, got removed from her entire family, had her sibling wanting to kill her.
But I don't think she ever saw Jacob again.
No, but that's because of what she did.
I know. So she did have her own consequences. She never got to see.
Those were voluntary.
Yeah. She never got to see Jacob.
Listen, I got no sympathy.
I know. She never got to see Jacob. She never got to see her daughter-in-law. She never got to see her grandkids.
Yeah.
That
she
as a grandma,
didn't know that
hurts me.
Yeah.
No. But that was her consequence.
Yeah, it was.
We don't get to choose our consequences.
We certainly
can
do
choose
not.
our sin, but not our consequences.
Yep. That's exactly right.
I love the veil, though. I like when we go back, when I talked about the women were probably veiled. Because if you listened to us before, our faces are covered. There was a veil in the temple separating the Holy of Holies. You could not go past that veil. Only the high priest could have it ceremonially clean before he could go in there. And they used to tie a rope to him because if something bad happened and he didn't do it right, he would just fall dead and they had to drag him out. We cannot go before the Father unless Jesus, Yeshua, went to the cross, dying for our sins and tearing that veil in two. That's the only reason we're no longer separated. That's why Jesus said in John 14:6, Jesus said to them, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. We have to go. We have to remove our veil. Jesus removes that veil when we give our life to him. 2 Corinthians 3:18, but we all with the unveiled face, beholding as a mirror the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory, just as by the Spirit of the Lord. Because Jesus, we can have an unveiled face and go to the Father, seeing him face to face. We can go to his throne of grace. That's in Hebrews 4:16. Let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace for help in time of need. We are able to. Ladies, if you're mad and you're angry and you're irritated and you're bitter, you run to that throne of grace and you spill it all out for the Lord. He told you to be bold. Go be bold. The Lord's going to be bold back, but we'll be bold. He'll work you through it.
And he's prepared for it. He already knows. So you're not going to surprise him.
Yeah, he's not going to like, dang, I didn't expect that one.
Yeah, like,
No.
wow.
Wow, dude.
No. He's already seen it. He saw it before it even happened.
He knows
You're
you.
not surprising him. Yeah, he knows you. He knows exactly what you need to hear. He knows the next steps for you, even though you can't see past your pain. So
Exactly. And then 2 Corinthians 3:16 says, nevertheless, when one turns to the Lord, the veil is taken away. And Hebrews 6:19, the hope we have as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast, in which enters the presence behind the veil. So thankfully, we do have this veil. And if we don't uncover that veil, we're going to get taken advantage of. But the way to put it nicely, just like Leah. I mean, the whole situation was because she was veiled and he couldn't see her.
Yep.
So in this way, when we come to know the Lord and we realize that we are sinners and we realize that we need him to save us, that he is saving us from a condemnation to a place called hell, we can have that veil removed. We can see him face to face and we don't have to get deceived anymore. The enemy cannot deceive us anymore. He will try and we may forget and we might get deceived, but the Lord's but we don't have to because we now have that veil removed. So removing that veil would have been very important. So I guarantee you the next time Jacob went to the marriage tent, he probably said, hey, look, we're lighting a candle. I ain't getting drunk. You need to take off that veil right now.
I would have him do it during the wedding.
No, because it wasn't truly, it had to be consummated. That's why he told Laban what he said. So they could have gone through the marriage. And if he had said it was not her, they wouldn't have been married. Mm-hmm. But that's what I did find out because I was, so here, I'll show you what I learned. In Genesis 29, verse 26. And Laban said, it must not be done so in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give you this one also for the service which you will serve with me still another 7 years. Then Jacob did so and fulfilled her week, so that he gave him his daughter Rachel as wife also, and Laban gave his maid Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as a maid. Then Jacob also went into Rachel, and he also loved Rachel more than Leah, and he served with Laban still another 7 years. It is 14 years for this chick.
For real, she must be special.
I hope so. But most likely, that really was not a custom at all, because he would have said that from the very beginning. So Laban lied. It wasn't a custom at all. He probably played this card because he couldn't get his older daughter married off. So she was past
during that entire 7 years.
Yep, maybe because she might have been past the age of marriage. I don't know what that age looked like. But since he figured that Jacob, since Laban figured out that Jacob loved Rachel, that much, he figured he'd take both of them. It was in his advantage. Laban just got rid of his daughters 2 for 1.
Sure.
So what did he care? Now, I wondered, I'm like, did Jacob have a choice? Could he have said, you know what? No, you deceived me. This is not what we agreed to. I don't want this woman. I want this one.
I think so.
Nope.
I think he could have.
I kept searching for the answer and I finally found one. I finally found a commentary said, no, according to the custom, he was married to her and he could not simply put her away because she was legally his wife at that point. So he could not put her away. Not that.
Back
now,
in the day.
We do see later where like with Moses and stuff, they did do that. But before then, nope. That was legally his wife. And so he could not put her away.
Laban knew it.
Yep, exactly. So now, like I said, what could have happened, he could have said, well, this is my one wife. I deserve this for all my lying and cheating. I'm sorry, Rachel. I love you. But my wife and I have got to go.
Yeah, we got to pack up. Let's get
pack
back
up
home.
and go. And she could have had all 12 kids. But that's not what we see. But that's not what we see. Jake, I guess it's fair to say Jacob, I'm trying to figure out how to word this correctly. He could have done what was right and he chose not to.
Yeah.
He chose not to. Rachel could have said, you know what? You're married to my sister. I'm not going to be a second wife.
Yep.
But she knew she'd be favored. That's why she did it. She knew she's probably wanting to get back at her sister.
Yep.
I'm going to get back at my sister. You know how I'm going to get back at my sister? I'm going to be the second wife. But as a second wife, I'm going to still be favored and I'm going to be loved more than you. And she probably thought in her mind, I'm going to have more kids than you because my husband's going to love me so much. We're going to be coupling all the time.
And I'm going to rub it in your face.
Exactly.
For what you did to me.
Most likely that's what happened. That was probably their rivalry. So that's what. So my other thought was, did Jacob fulfill her week or did he sit in the tent sulking? Because men are different and they can actually couple without feelings and without romance and without love. He probably, fulfilled her week. All right, let's do this. I don't love you, but it works. It's probably what he did. Why waiting for Rachel? But like I said, that first night, Leah never got that first night again.
No,
never. And it probably never got better.
Nope.
And I do feel sorry for her.
A lot of animosity, a lot of duty.
Well, he was just doing it out of duty at that point. He didn't love her, so it was just duty. Sorry. No. What am I thinking of? It's no hard feelings. I'm just getting the job done.
Yeah.
And that hurts. And I see that in marriages. I've seen that where they're just getting the job done because they forgot how to be lovers. They forgot how to be married. They forgot how to enjoy each other. And so wives, don't do that to your husband. All right. Do not do that. Love your husbands. Be his lover. Be there for him. Don't deny him. Don't use it as a method of manipulation. That is wrong and it's not biblical.
Right.
So
that's the equivalent of him not giving you any intimacy or love because you didn't do something right.
Right.
And then on the flip side, you're not giving him the bounce because he didn't do something.
Right.
So it can work both ways, and it absolutely does.
Yeah, and Satan will use that. And I did not put it in here. Dang it. I didn't put it in here. I was going to put it in here and I didn't, but it's in Corinthians where it talks about, I thought I put it in here, about meeting each other's affections. Yeah. You're supposed to meet each other's affection because if you don't, Satan will get in and he will get in the way.
We each need something different. Like you need something different than your husband, vice versa.
Exactly. And you should be meeting each other's needs.
Yeah.
Just because it's not the same as yours. I'm not talking about abuse, okay? Please, ladies, remember, we're not talking about any type of sexual abuse. That's just, no, we're not talking about that. We're talking about biblical sexuality between a husband and a wife, and it should be fun, and it should be enjoyed often, because otherwise Satan will get in there.
Yep.
Because God made you. He created you. He created us to be wanting to multiply. He told us from the very beginning, be fruitful and multiply. So he had to create us with the ability to be fruitful. Although I see it now, but most people are choosing dogs over kids. It's really sad. Or they're not getting married at all. And they're living together. They're not having children. And that's out of our creation too. We're getting out of our creation and we're wondering why there's so many lives who feel miserable. Because you're out of your creation. You're doing opposite of what God told us to do. Okay, so then some of my other thoughts were, he could not have married Rachel. He could have gone darn and just stayed married to Leah. But his love for her, was it really love or was it something else because she was gorgeous? Prevailed him to marry her anyway, willing to work another 7 years. So basically he worked 14 years for Rachel. He got this woman and he loved Rachel more than Leah. And that's so sad. It really is. Thankfully, the Lord knows everything, so he planned all this anyway. I mean, he already knew this was going to happen. He had a plan to keep the covenant going. He wasn't going to stop his plans.
Hey, all 12 kids are being used as the tribe of Judah.
Exactly.
The tribe of the...
Could it have come from one woman? Absolutely could have come from one woman. But the Lord knew this was going to happen. Yeah. And he's going to keep his covenant promise and work with them. And he shows compassion towards Leah and Rachel. We get to see that. God didn't go, you know what? Y'all three screwed it all up and I'm done. He didn't do that. He said, y'all three screwed it all up, but we're going to work this out. We're going to do something about it. Hold tight. So no one, not one time does what if ever help. That's what we are going to talk about. What if? Can't play the what if game.
Nope.
No.
Can't change the past.
Nope. We can say it all day long. All it does is hurts us. What if never helps. When I feel low and eat something that causes a lot of inflammation, I revert back to my times of disobedience and think, what if? But what stops me is knowing that the Lord knew it all and his plans were not squished. I met the Lord in a real way. He changed me. And I have this beautiful life now, got a fabulous husband. He adopted my son. So we have a fabulous son with a fabulous daughter-in-law, cutest little grandkids. And all day long, I could say, what if? But God took ashes and gave me beauty. So even in the what ifs, I can see God was in total control and nothing got past him. And I'm just glad I'm past all that. Just
Amen.
Glad. You don't want to add to it?
Nope. Well said.
Thanks. Yeah, you're like, I already played this game. Yeah. I'm going to play again. So in Genesis 29, verse 31, when the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. This is the first indication, I think, I don't know if we've seen this before, that God opens and closes the wombs. And I have seen that in couples who try to have a baby and they try every which way by man to have a baby and it doesn't work. And it's because if God closes the womb, God closes the womb. There's nothing that's going to open it. And if you're trying to close your womb and Lord's like, no, you're not closing that womb, it will open. I know several people who thought they were done. They were not done.
Right.
God's like, no, you're not. I'll let you know when you're done.
Yeah. Sweet surprise.
Yep,
another
exactly.
baby.
Hey, guess what? You remember that note you got that said you're completely, I know a couple who had 4 daughters, got a note saying he had a vasectomy, got a note that said count is 0. They have a beautiful baby boy after that. And a lot of people are like, hey, I'm like, no, this kid looked exactly like the other kids. There was no doubt that child was not theirs.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
They could have done a DNA test too.
Yeah, but they didn't have to. Yeah. He knew she didn't cheat on him and they knew that this child looked like the other kids.
Yeah.
So there was no doubt. It's just that the Lord said, you think you're done, but we're not done yet.
Yeah.
So he got his boy. So we can see God's compassion on the unloved. God still has compassion on the unloved. At that time, the woman's value was having babies. So a woman without a baby was shamed. And since God is working his covenant promise plan, the woman having babies is very important. So God opens and closes the wombs. The Lord gave Leah a baby, not Rachel. So God saw that she was unloved and was being compassionate towards her and gave her and opened her womb. I know this hurts always. It reminded me of Hannah and Peninnah, where Hannah was loved but had no children. And Peninnah was a second wife, unloved, who could have children. That's the only reason she got a second wife is because she was to have babies, which I still never found anywhere. What made you a second wife? Why couldn't you be a first wife? What was the predicament that made you a second wife? I mean, did she have a lot of sisters? Not Rachel and Leah, but I was talking about Hannah and Peninnah. I mean, she was equally. Why did she have to become a second wife? It never says. What was wrong? There not have been. I don't know. Anyway, she was a second wife, but she did
not
literally
pretty enough.
I don't know, and she literally came second.
Yeah.
But the difference we saw in the end result was that Hannah prayed, and Hannah prayed the way the Lord wanted her to pray, and so not only did He give her a son for His service, but she also had more children. So, ladies, that's why we have to pray. I don't see Jacob praying any of this. Maybe he did, but we don't see it. I don't see Rachel praying through it. I don't see Leah praying through it. At some point, they all could have said, we need to pray about this. Lord, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to have 2 wives? Do you want me to have Leah as my wife? And I'm sorry, Rachel, you're going to have to go find you another husband.
Thank you for letting us share our tools to become the women God created us to be. If we encouraged you today, visit us at moderndayabigails.com. Remember, you are loved, cherished, and prayed over.